Out of all these free sports picks on these videos that I give out day in and day out, do you want to see which one of these games that I'm actually betting on personally? There's only one way to do that, and that's to sign up for a membership on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. I'm coming fresh off a 4-2 day in my 6 personal plays on that site yesterday. It's also going to improve my record to 4-0, my last 4 NBA tier package bets on that site as well. And before we get into some more of that, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to my Major League Baseball free pick video, part 2, for Friday, April 21st, 2023. Happy Friday to you. Weekend is finally here. My name is Brock Page. I've been dishing out free sports picks right here on YouTube since 2016. I also sell my personal sports bets on patreon.com/BrockPage. And once again, guys, we're 4-0 in our last 4 NBA tier package bets on that website. Now, my NBA package is a membership that I offer on that site. And if you sign up for that package here today, you're going to get access to that membership for the next 30 days. The math works out to be just 83 cents a day. As an added bonus here, guys, you're also going to get access to, wow, I'm so excited, can't even spit it out. As an added bonus, you're also going to get access to all of my cheaper memberships absolutely free. They're going to be included with your purchase of the NBA package. I currently have over 540 members who are signed up and active on my website right now. And you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total. And what I do on my website is I actually share with you which one of these free plays on these videos that I'm actually betting on personally. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into some free content. Blue Jays, Yankees, 7:05 East. Yankees are minus $1.25, totals 8.5. Domingo Germán for New York, Yusei Kikuchi for Toronto. Now, the Cooch man comes into today's start with an ERA in the high 4s. This Toronto pitching staff's also in the bottom 5 in runs allowed per game on the road. Now, they're going to have to face Aaron Judge, who has 6 homers and double-digit RBI. Meanwhile, Anthony Rizzo's hitting .344 with an OPS in the thousands. And even if the bats go cold here for the Bombers, they do have Domingo Germán on the mound, who's got 19 strikeouts and a 1.00 whip. Now, injury-wise, Donaldson, Stanton, and Bader are still on the IL for New York. When it comes to the total, the Yankees saw 9 out of their last 13 in the Bronx stay under. They also went 60% to the under in their last 10 meetings with Toronto. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. Give me the Yankees minus $1.25, under 8.5. Next game, Marlins, Guardians, 7:10 Eastern first pitch. Cleveland's minus $1.40, total 7.5 runs. Zach Plesac for Cleveland, Braxton Garrett for Miami. Now, Garrett's averaging a strikeout an inning, and he has an ERA in the low 3s. Now, this Marlins pitching staff is also in the top 5 in strikeouts per game on the road. And as a team, Miami got the W in 7 out of their last 10. They're facing a Cleveland squad who has a tough time getting on base. These guys are in the bottom 5 in hits per game at home. And no real shock here, guys. The Guardians are averaging under 3.4 runs a game at Progressive Field. Now, injury-wise, infielders Ahmed Rosario and Tyler Freeman, they're both questionable to suit up here today. Meanwhile, for Miami on the other side, Gene Segura is questionable. Joey Wendell's still out. When it comes to the number, Miami saw 4 out of their last 6 on the road get over the total. Meanwhile, Cleveland saw overs recently against the likes of the Nationals, Yankees, and Mariners. Give me the Marlins plus 1.5, over 7.5 runs. Next contest, Astros Braves, 7:20 Eastern first pitch. Atlanta's minus $1.20, totals 9. Bryce Elder for Atlanta, Hunter Brown for Houston. The Browns 2-0 in the year with a 1.93 ERA and a 1.02 whip. These Houston hitters are also averaging just about double-digit hits a game on the road. Kyle Tucker's batting .313 with 15 ribbies and a handful of homers. Meanwhile, Yordan Alvarez leads the majors with 21 runs batted in. And even if Bryce Elder's been good on the bump here today for Atlanta, this Braves pitching staff as a whole, they allow more runs a game at home than most clubs in the National League. So we get to this Atlanta bullpen, could see problems here today. Now, when it comes to offensive production, these Braves hitters are striking out nearly 11 times a game at Truist Park. When it comes to the injury report, d'Arnaud, Arcia, and Harris, they're all still out for the Braves. Brantley, Altuve, and McCormick are out for Houston. When it comes to the scoring, Houston saw unders against the likes of Toronto, Texas, and Pittsburgh. They also saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with the Braves stay under the line. So once again, if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. Give me Houston plus $1, under 9. Next contest, A's, Rangers, 8:05 Eastern, first pitch. Texas is minus 210, totals 8.5. John Gray for the Rangers, J.P. Sears for Oakland. Now, Sears has an ERA of 4.60. He's yet to record a win. And even if Sears pitches well, he's probably not going to get the run support he needs. The A's are averaging under 3.6 runs a game offensively. The A's are averaging under 3.6 runs a game offensively, which is actually worse than most clubs in the American League. They're going to have to face John Gray, who struck out 13 in just 14 innings of work. Gray also has an ERA in the low 3s. Now, this Ranger lineup of hitters, they're currently leading the AL West in run production. Jonah Heim's hitting .311 with 11 runs batted in. Meanwhile, Marcus Simeon's got a handful of homers and 18 RBI. He's actually 6th in the league in ribbies. Now, injury-wise, Seager and Garver are both still out for Texas. Pena, Laureano, and Brown are still out for Oakland. Left fielder Brent Rooker is also questionable for the A's with a hammy. Now, total-wise, Texas is 6-3 to the over at Globe Life Park. They're also 67% to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, Oakland saw 6 out of their last 7 road games get over the total themselves. Give me the Rangers minus 1.5, over 8.5 runs. Next game, Red Sox, Brewers, 8:10 Eastern, first pitch. Milwaukee's minus 165, totals 8.5. Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee, Nick Pivetta for Boston. Now, Pivy's got an ERA of 4.50. He's yet to record a win this year. Now, the Red Sox also have a losing record on the road. And they average fewer road hits a game than any other team in baseball except for one. Now, they're going to have to face Freddie Peralta, who's got a couple wins on the year, along with a 3.18 ERA. And even if Freddie struggles, the Brewers are a top 5 run-producing team at home. William Contreras is hitting .302, along with a handful of runs batted in. Meanwhile, Brian Anderson has a couple of homers, along with 15 RBI himself. Now, injury-wise, Urias, Taylor, and Mitchell are still out for Milwaukee. Christian Arroyo's questionable for Boston. When it comes to the total, Boston saw 5 out of their last 7 road games get over the total. They're also 14-6 of the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, 5 out of Milwaukee's last 8 on the other side got over the total themselves. Give me the Brewers minus 165, over 8.5. Next contest, Nats, Twins, 8:10 Eastern, first pitch. Minnesota's minus 220, total 7.5. Tyler Mahle for Minnesota, Trevor Williams for Washington. Now, Williams has an ERA in the 3s along with a 1.17 whip. And surprisingly, this Washington lineup's in the top 10 in hits per game away from home. Heimer Candelario's amongst the team leaders in batting average. Meanwhile, Stone Garrett's hitting .478 in limited action. When it comes to cashing in on the run line, the Nats cashed in on the run line in 6 out of their last 7 road games. They're facing Tyler Mahle here today, who's got a losing record and an ERA in the 4s. And no real surprise here, guys. Mahle has a 1.43 whip as well. And even if Tyler does have a good outing here today, this Minnesota lineup's been pretty brutal at times. They're actually striking out 11 times a game at home, which is a league worst. Now, injury-wise, Polanco, Farmer, Kirilloff, and Celestino are still out for many. Meanwhile, for Washington on the other side, Dickerson, Vargas, Kieboom, and Pineda, they are still on the IL. Now, number-wise, Washington's gone 4-3 to the under in their last 7 road games. Meanwhile, Minnesota saw 5 out of their last 6 at home stay under the line themselves. Give me the Nationals plus 1.5, under 7.5 runs. Next contest, it is going to be Royals at the Angels, 9:38 Eastern, first pitch. The LA Angels are minus 290, totals 8.5. Shohei Ohtani for Los Angeles, Taylor Clark for Kansas City. Now, Clark's got an ERA in the high sixes after just 8 innings of work. And even if he has a good outing here today, this KC lineup averages a league low 6.8 hits a game. Now, they're going to have to face Shohei Ohtani, who's been tough to score against. He's 2-0 with a .86 ERA. Now, Ohtani's also got 27 strikeouts and a .90 whip. This Angels team as a whole, they have a top 10 scoring lineup at home. Mike Trout, he's hitting just about 300. He leads the roster in OPS. When it comes to the injury list, Stassi and Walsh are still out for the Angels. Waters and Hernandez still on the IL for KC. When it comes to the scoring, the Royals have averaged just 3.6 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with LA. So once again, if you're into historical trends, certainly want to think about that one there. No real surprise, 7 out of those 10 head-to-head meetings I just mentioned fell under the total. Now, LA on the other side, they saw 4 out of their last 6 at Angels Stadium stay under the line. Give me the Angels minus 1.5, under 8.5 runs. Next game, Padres, Diamondbacks, 9:40 Eastern first pitch. San Diego's minus $1.20, totals 9. Seth Lugo for San Diego, Zach Gallen for Arizona. Now, Gallen's got a couple of wins on the year, along with an ERA in the low 3s. Now, Gallen's also fanned 28 batters in just 24-plus innings. He also has a .95 whip. And even if he ends up getting shelled, this Arizona lineup loves to hit at home. These guys are averaging nearly 11 hits a game at Chase Field. Josh Rojas is hitting .333 with a bunch of total bases. Meanwhile, Geraldo Perdomo, he's hitting .389 in limited action with an OPS in the thousands. Now, injury-wise, Kelly and Lewis are still out for Arizona. Herrera is listed as questionable. Meanwhile, for San Diego, David Dahl, Adam Engel, and Luis Campusano, they're all on the IL for them. Now, total-wise, 5 out of San Diego's last 8 road games stayed under the number. Unders against the likes of Atlanta and Milwaukee. Give me the Diamondbacks plus $1, under 9. Next game, Cards, Mariners, 10:10 Eastern first pitch. Seattle's minus $1.25, totals 8. George Kirby for Seattle, Steven Matz for St. Louis. Now, Matz is still winless on the season, and he has an ERA in the 6s. Now, the St. Louis pitching staff as a whole, they're in the bottom 3 in hits allowed. Now, they're going to have to slow down the likes of Jared Kelenic, who's hitting .310 with a handful of home runs. And of course, Ty France, he's hitting .316 with 36 total bases. And even if for some reason the bats go cold here, the M should be in good hands with George Kirby on the hill. He's got an ERA in the 3s, and he's actually walked just 1 batter thus far in the year. Extremely accurate control here. Now, injury-wise, Moore, Haggerty, and Trammell, they are all out for Seattle. Meanwhile, for St. Louis, Brendan Donovan and Alec Burleson are both questionable. When it comes to the total, St. Louis saw 5 out of their last 6 road games stay under the total. Meanwhile, Seattle saw 5 out of their last 9 against National League opponents stay under the number themselves. Give me Seattle minus $1.25, under 8. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the video. It's going to be in the Mets-Giants game, 10:15 Eastern start time. San Francisco's minus $1.20, totals 9 runs. Anthony DeSclafani for San Francisco. Joey Lucchesi for New York. Now, Lucchesi's making his season debut for a Mets pitching staff who allows fewer runs per contest than most clubs in the National League. Now, he's going to have to shut down a Giants lineup who strikes out over 11 times a game. That's the worst in the major leagues. And no real surprise, San Francisco is scoring just 3.3 runs a game in their own stadium. Now, injury-wise, Peterson, Slater, Gonzalez, and Johnson, they're all on the IL. Meanwhile, for the Mets on the other side, Marte's questionable, LeCastro's out. When it comes to the numbers, 7 out of New York's last 10 meetings with San Francisco got over. The Giants are also 4-3 to the over in their last 7 at Oracle. Give me the Mets plus $1, over 9. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. New York Yankees minus $1.25, under 8.5. Miami Marlins plus 1.5, over 7.5 runs. Houston plus $1, under 9. Texas Rangers minus 1.5, over 8.5 runs. Milwaukee Brewers minus 165, over 8.5. Washington plus 1.5, under 7.5. LA Angels minus 1.5, under 8.5 runs. Arizona plus $1, under 9. Seattle minus $1.25, under 8. With my next and final free pick, give me the New York Mets plus $1, over 9.